Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. Noobster here with another Wonderlands build. Before I get into the video, real quick, I'm using a new mic, so if you hear a little bit of background from my controller, all the clicking of the buttons and all that, apologies, I still haven't done all the settings and all that adjustment. But, you know, my previous mic wasn't the best, so I'm trying to upgrade a little bit. So what I got for y'all today is a ClawBringer build. It also uses the Spore Warden. Now, as y'all know, ClawBringer is not in the best state right now. The Storm Smite buff, honestly, I tried a bunch of things. It wasn't the best. Tried to go ability damage, tried to spam stuff, tried to proc Storm Smite as much as possible. Just wasn't really doing it. Anyway, so this one, it uses mostly, it goes somewhat deep into the actual Clawbringer tree, but not all the way to Storm Smite, so don't expect that. Hopefully they'll have more buffs in the future. But for now, I use Clawbringer more as a support and have the Spore Warden more as the main damage dealer. Anyway, let's get right into the skill tree, and we'll show you why we spec'd into all our things. So, going into Clawbringer skill tree, honestly right now, Oath of Fire and Dragon Aura are the two best skills. So, we're going to put 5 out of 5 in both of those. Dedication is more so to get down in the skill tree. Feel free to spec it into Oath of Thunder. I don't really recommend Radiance just because we're using a Cursed Wit, so why would you want more ward? So if you do not use a Cursed Wit, then feel free to spec into here. I just went with Dedication. Even though we don't have our ward often, we still get a little bit of action skill cooldown rate, so it helps out. Now we put 1 point into Rebuke. We don't really care about the damage reduction. What we're trying to do is whenever we get damage dealt to us, it's reflected to the attacker as lightning ability damage. And as you can see, we're also using Wrath of Nature. This makes it so that whenever we're getting hit, those guys get ability damage procced on them. We have Wrath of Nature, and so we can do a bunch of damage. Next, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name. This is also to get a little bit more the ability damage. So whenever we kill a enemy, there's going to be a little ball of fire that goes on to a nearby enemy. A lot of times, if there's no nearby enemies, it just falls to the ground, so it really doesn't help. But when it does, it's useful because then you know you don't have to like worry about you know, having enemies attack you or using your action skill or anything. You just literally see where the ball is going. If it hits another enemy, boom, you go start shooting at that enemy. And you kill him instantly. Then, Firebolt. Now, I will say Firebolt is one of the weirdest skills that I have seen. I get random spikes of damage, and I think it's from Firebolt. It could be from something else, but because this build is very similar to my Berserker Spore Warden, I don't think it could be from anything else but Firebolt. But I'll try to demonstrate it. I don't know if I can because it's very random. But suddenly you'll see like a health bar, like you'll see half a health bar just instantly get erased from Firebolt randomly. But other than that random surge of damage, which is helpful, so that's why I went into it. But we also get 8% extra gun damage, and since Clawbringer doesn't have that much damage in the first place, besides this extra elemental damage and the bonus fire damage, we want to get as much damage as possible from this skill tree. So we went ahead and put 1 point in there. Now, moving on to the bulk of the build, which is coming from the Spore Warden. So we put 5 out of 5 in Eagle Eye, 5 out of 5 in Bullseye. This is just extra crit chance, extra gun damage, pretty obvious. Then we did 5 out of 5 in Affinity. This is for the ability damage. We are using Storm Dragon's Judgment, so it actually makes the hammer not terrible for mobbing it. You can actually do a decent amount of damage. Even though this is melee damage, you throw it, you can leave it for a few seconds, that procs some ability damage. It's a decent chunk, and I've seen some enemies actually die from it, so it's pretty cool. I mainly wanted to start Clawbringer because I wanted to use the Thor hammer and all that. So I wanted to make that you know, part of the build where we're using Storm Dragon's Judgment. Anyway, moving down, I love Quiver of Holding, so I went 3 out of 3 in there. If you don't care about the magazine size and ammo regen, you can go ahead and put 3 out of 3 in Windrunner. I do like Windrunner as well, also because of the extra fire rate and the movement speed. but you can only have 3 out of 3 in one of these, and I chose Quiver of Holding just because I love larger magazine size. I put 1 in Medicinal Mushroom. If you don't care about this reviving, the pet reviving you, feel free to put it in Windrunner. I recommend this just because, you know, you randomly get down from barrels and such, so I hate dealing with that, so I went ahead and put 1 in there. Then we put 3 out of 3 in Wrath of Nature. This is obvious. We want to get extra damage increase. We have 3 out of 3 extra from our class mod, and then we have 1 in Headhunter. This is extra gun damage whenever we hit critical hits. Spore Warden, boom. Bullseye gives us extra critical hits all the time. So we get extra 25% for all of those hits, and then play the ankles, right? This is also going to help with our ricochets, and that's why we also went 5 out of 5 in Affinity. Just extra damage to those ricochets. Real quick, going into the hero stats, I maxed out crit damage and spell cooldown. Our Storm Dragon's Judgment comes back relatively quick, so I didn't put too much in here. But I think I may have put a couple of points. Or actually, I think it's just 2 from our archetype. I don't remember what it's called, but yeah. And then we have we put the rest in crit chance just so we can get a little bit extra critical hits, so we could proc. Oops, sorry. So we can proc Headhunter a little bit more. So anyway, that is the skill tree and the hero stats. Going into the inventory, don't mind most of this, and the backpack is full. That's not part of the build, honestly. Going into the melee weapon, we're using the Goblin's Pickaxe. This is obvious. Whenever you pick gold, you get extra movement speed, cooldown rate, action skill cooldown rate, all that jazz. So this is one of the best pickaxes, or melee weapons. And I have on spellcast increase damage dealt by 15% on this. Then going into the weapons, there are honestly just 2 main weapons. I went ahead and put a Delusion. This is more so if you just want to proc for the soaked, but you know, this is just optional. You don't really need it for sure. I just went ahead and put it in the build, mainly for bosses and stuff. But the 2 main damage dealers are the Spriggan, the purple ice SMG, and the Sawmill sniper. So this is mainly for our mobbing, but honestly, I liked using this for bossing as well. And then this is our bossing weapon, simply because we can't really use this for mobbing because it just chews through ammo. But yeah, on both of these weapons, we tried to get on action skill start, increase damage dealt by 20% for 20 seconds. I believe they fixed the on action skill active, so we can't really use any of those, unfortunately, but it's fine. At least this build doesn't have any glitches or anything that I've seen. And then we put the Delusion just so you can shoot 1 bullet, move to one of these guns for bosses, and melt them. Now for our rings, we went with gun damage rings, and then mood rings, and the championship ring. Now, we do have SMG critical hit damage on this. We would have liked SMG critical hit damage on this as well, but we don't have it. That's okay. So this is not min-maxed anything. We found gun damage rings that had you know, the good rolls, and we wanted to have extra damage. So whenever we deal damage to bosses, we're gonna have 100% extra effects. And then same with this one. Our ward's not gonna be full often, so this is always gonna be available. Then for the Cursed Wit, we have on spellcast increase frost damage by 30% for 5 seconds. Again, the Cursed Wit's just kind of like a staple, unfortunately. I mean, I want to try out other shields as well, but this one's just too good to pass up on. Then we have, now, the Universal Soldier part honestly does not matter. We are not meleeing a lot, and if we're lucky, we'll get it to proc with our Storm Dragon's Judgment, but honestly, that's not the reason why we have this. The reason why we have this is because of the gun damage of the Spore Warden power, and then also because an added benefit is that this one has all damage dealt. Now, this one is not a chaotic, it's not a volatile, it's not primordial, so it's a basic standard one. You guys can easily get something better. I honestly have not put my Chaos Chamber points into, or they're not cool, the tokens or whatever, right? I haven't put them into the amulets, so I haven't found a better one. This is what I'm rocking for now. And then this is another staple. I love having a Dark Magic Buffmeister. I know that you can get more damage if you use a frost one, simply because we also have this enchant, and because this is heavy frost. But we want some survivability. This one has 2 spell charges, and so we're just this gives us our survivability basically, and we can be alive because we'll be able to proc this. We're trying to get as much spell cooldown as possible. Now, again, there will be a period in time where you won't have this up, so you'll have to wait for it to come back. But this is still something, and it's better than nothing. So that is the gist of that. And actually, I forgot to show the actual class mod we're using. So we're using this class mod. I got this one from Moxie's build, actually. Just want to be transparent about that. I was trying to farm for one of these Cape of Tides with 3 out of 3 in Wrath of Nature. I could not find it, and then I saw his video, and he had posted it, and I saw that he had one, so I was like, I need this for this build. Anyway, so yeah, this one has 3 out of 3 in Wrath of Nature. The other 2 skill points do not matter to me. You want to have extra Spore Warden power, obviously, because we're not using Berserker power in this. And this one has ability damage. Again, that doesn't really affect us too much, except for our play the angles. And then also melee damage. That's going to help us a little bit with our Storm Dragon Judgment throws. But the main reason we're using this, aside from the 3 out of 3 in Wrath of Nature, is for the soaked effect. So whenever we deal critical hits, we have a 25% chance to have the Water Nova that'll give soaked. And because of that, we'll have extra 50% damage. Now, it says 150 damage. That's just a total, so 150 times your base damage is literally just extra 50% damage. It's not an additional 150% damage. Now, I will say, the one bad thing about this is we are getting less damage from our Oath of Fire, because obviously the soaked effect makes your fire deal less damage. But because mainly we're dealing frost, this is still going to be essential, and it'll give us a bunch of damage. Again, if you have an ice Buffmeister, I have put a couple into this build. I don't know if they're the best ones, actually, but you can also use the lightning ones. It doesn't matter. But yeah, those will help, but I like to stick with this one just for the survivability aspect of this. So that's the build, guys. I'm going to show a little bit of the mobbing and the bossing and all that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do want any of this gear, please let me know. Join my Discord. I'll help with getting the builds out to people. I'll also put the save file in the description. So feel free to check that out. I'll put the link to my Discord as well. So please join if you are a console player and are struggling to get any of the gear. I know this is hard to get. So luckily, because this is crossplay, I can help you out. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll move on to the bossing. If you like the video, please feel free to subscribe, like, comment down below if you have other ideas or any suggestions. Honestly, I love when people put in how I can make my builds better. Feel free to leave comments letting me know how I can make this even stronger, and that would be awesome. And anyway, guys, see you guys later. Enjoy the rest of the video.